So now they're talking about whether increasing welfare creates a disincentive to work. I don't think that that's a smart question. Um, because most of the time the disincentive is already there, right? Would See, we have to be careful how we phrase this. Is it the case that making welfare livable will remove certain people from the job market? Um, yeah, I'd say it probably would. Certainly would. It would remove me. If I had the choice between working and not working, I mean, I don't currently have that choice, right? I don't have the choice to work. I'm disabled. But if I did have the choice between working and not working, I would choose not working. And I would accept a very low level of income to do it, right? Um, I currently have quite a bit of a disposable income, and I'm using it. But if I didn't, that wouldn't. I'm not the kind of person that would go to work, so I have more disposable income. I would find other ways to exist. Okay, so but you have to keep in mind that that's not a cause so much as it's a reaction, right? The reason is because I'm somebody that would only go to work because they have to pay their bills. It's the only reason I would ever want to go to work, or I wouldn't even. It's not even a reason I would want to go to work. It would be a reason I'd be forced to go to work, right? So I'm in a category of people that is um, involuntarily that would be involuntarily employed. Okay, um, that's a small group of people. And so the better question to ask is the market better off when people that are engaging in it involuntarily are given an exit strategy? And I think the answer to that is yes. Um, the economy is not able to produce full employment, right? I think we all agree with that. Even we might even go so far as to suggest that full employment, quote unquote, is like 3 or 4% unemployment, right? It's obviously not full employment. There's still people unemployed. But these are people that are structurally unemployed. These are people that are unemployed by choice, and etc. Right? And as so long as there are more workers than jobs, and the economy is designed that way, it is beneficial, I would argue, to the market, to employers, to consumers, to everybody, to have people that just don't want to be there. All right, to just let them go. All right. What would it be like if you were to force me to go to work? Well, I'd probably be late most days. I'd be I'd probably do a crappy job. Um, I'd be trying to get fired most of the time. Um, it's see people just don't really get it because, like I say, they're in the cave. Um, they are stuck uh, in a concept of existence that um, and we're not gonna. There's not really any point in walking down this path. But they're just not able to see what freedom actually is, and so they accept the kind of happiness in their slavery, right? And they're not able to understand that there are people out there that you would literally like you would have to put me in chains, okay? I'm not going to fall for this. I mean, there's been a lot written by about this idea that something that happened around the turn of the century was that the elite realized that you couldn't put people in physical chains, so you had to create mental chains around them instead. I'm sorry, but I'm somebody that has broken those mental chains. And if you want to get me to work, you got to put me in physical chains. All right? You got to drag me in. You're probably going to have to beat me up on the way there. I'm going to resist. I'm going to lie on the ground. You have to drag me by the foot. It's I don't want to be there, right? Now I'm a little bit extreme, but even if you can take me down a notch, okay, to somebody that just isn't, you know, they'll come in, if their shift starts at 8, they'll be there at 7:59. They don't talk to anybody. They don't want to be there. They do their stupid job, and they go home. Productivity levels are not very good because they're just pushing buttons. Their head's somewhere else. Who are these people? Who are these people that go to work but don't want to go to work, or would have to be dragged to work and refuse to go, or any of these sort of things? We're artists mostly. I mean, that's what we really are, right? We're anarchists, but I mean anarchists that have goals that are more aligned with the society. We'll find somewhere to exist in it, right? So you can call yourself an anarchist, but if you really want to be a nurse, you'll find a job as a nurse, and you'll find some structure and happiness in it, and that's fine. But when you're an artist, there's nowhere in our society for art. I mean, commodified garbage that people call art, but it's not art. And so what you're doing when you're doing that is you're allowing artists to escape from the market. And there's two benefits. It's really mutually beneficial, okay? It's beneficial for the artists because they have space and time to do what they want, and it's beneficial to the rest of society because you're taking them out of a role that they're not interested in and are inevitably going to underperform in, and you're letting somebody else that is more excited about it do it, right? So yes, it might reduce labor participation rates for a small subset of the population, but people are better off that way. And it might be something in the short run as well, right? Because if you give artists the ability to make something, then they're more likely to succeed, right? The more time you give an artist, the better their product is, the more likely it is that it sells. And in the end, they might not end up with, a traditional job, but they may end up being self-sufficient in a different kind of way, right? And it's a wide variety of things that way, right? So again, though, are you going to convince a conservative with this argument? Probably not, because they have to change how they think about things, right? Artist subsidies? You're going to convince a conservative for artist subsidies? Because I mean, that's what it functionally boils down to, right? I mean, you might end up with the odd drunk but I mean, at the same time, right? It's just like, okay, if you're going to be a hopeless drunk, does it benefit an employer to hire you? Drink yourself to death, and I mean, the guy made the argument for services and stuff, for addiction counseling, and that's great and everything, but it's but if you're talking about the jobs, then it doesn't make sense to it doesn't make sense to send the drunk to work while you have somebody else on welfare. It makes sense to let the drunk live on welfare and send the guy that's on welfare to work. It makes sense to let the artists out because they don't want to be there. The authors, the musicians, the sculptors, whatever, painters. And if you let them live, let them make, the number of people, so that's one group, right? The next group would be people that just want money to spend. And if they want money to spend, then I mean they're they're always going to be better off working, right? Because they're always going to have more money that way, right? So for them, it's just a question of maximizing income or maximizing utility. I guess you could call them the utilitarians, right? I guess that's maybe the best way to, or maybe not utilitarians, but people that want to maximize utility, right? They don't have to be utility monsters quite, but and they're always going to want to work because they'll always have more money, and they're always going to want to have a better job because they're always going to want more money. So whether you can get out of it or not isn't going to make any difference to them because it's not what they want, and that's the vast majority of people, right? The number of people that are going to take advantage of it just to sit around in their underwear and watch Oprah, or sit around in their underwear and watch TVO and comment on a whoa. The number of people that are going to do that is very small. No, I'm an artist. I have a large discography, and it's in flux right now. It's coming. Actually, there'll be in a few days. There'll be some stuff up. So I mean, it will take some people out of the labor force. Sure, it's better. Everybody's better off that way, right? Um, it gives people an opportunity to do that, right? It lets the people that want out get out, and then opens up spaces for people that want in. The result is you're going to see an increase in productivity. You're going to see, more potential at the lower rungs of the labor force, and I think you'll probably also see an increase in artistic output because you're giving artists the space to make, to create, which is what they want, right? And it might be low probability, but you will see some artists succeed too, right? Again, like I say, you're going to convince a conservative. Well, it's a reordering of society, right? It's almost more like we haven't had societies like that. Like it's in a certain sense it's anti-democratic, right? And it is. But I do think it's more conducive to freedom, right? It's the kind of society that would have existed like before the French Revolution in a certain sense. And I mean, I think everybody gets that. But at the same time, it's as an artist, yeah, let me out. But I'm not. I'm not doing anybody any favors by going to work. Trust me.